Right, learners, in our two previous videos we looked at the accounting equation and how we need to keep records, and those records involve a double entry each time. So by way of a colored sheet and the beans, we built up and we kept records. Now I want to go further and I want to use another method of recording, and that is I'm going to start with the spreadsheet. Now at the end of the day, the ledger is our official records of any business. But in order to understand the principles, we make use of a spreadsheet amongst various other methods. So I really encourage you to work through these exercises, because if you get an understanding of it, you will manage the ledger and then the journals so much easier. Now, before we start, remember we worked on the principle that our assets, all the things that we own, minus our debts, our liabilities, equals our worth. Or as we work into our businesses, we'll refer to that worth as being our owner's equity. Now, we need to keep some type of record system because these are changing constantly. So let's look at the spreadsheet. Now for this task, I am using the training material that is saved on the web under resources. It is from a set of lessons that I have been conducting. So if you've already attended my training classes, then you'll have the material. Otherwise, you can copy it from off the web and you can work through it. And I'm focusing now on task 3, which was the spreadsheet. And I'm dealing with a business called Carol's Curls. And Carol, being a hairdresser, would be a service business. So this is very applicable to the grade 8s. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep it in the means of a spreadsheet. Now you should be familiar with spreadsheets. This is just Excel spreadsheets and how we need to record it. So let's start with the beginning. It says to us, Carol went to the bank to open up a new check account in the name of Carol's Curls. That's the name of the business. She authorized the bank to transfer an amount of $50,000 from her personal savings account into the bank account of the business. Now the first thing we need to take note is, and this is, we work with this principle, the business entity. The affairs of the business and the private must be kept separate. So although her private bank account is going to go down, we are focusing on the business here. So she is depositing $50,000 into the business, and we need to keep a record of that. So if we look at our spreadsheet, we're going to say, right, she's put $50,000 into the bank. So the business's bank account is going to increase by $50,000. However, it's important that she keeps a record of this, of how much money she has put in, which we call her capital. And so her capital is part of the owner's equity, and her capital, her investment in the business, is now $50,000. Go back to the accounting equation. The business has now got assets of $50,000. They've got it in the bank. There are no debts, and so her worth of the business is $50,000. Now, Carol bought the following on account. Now we need to take note that they're buying this on account. There's equipment for the salon, and there's a computer for the office. Now, this has not been paid for. So we cannot use our bank account. There's been no money taken out of there. What she is doing, she's buying hairdressing equipment, and she's buying this, and so this is going up by $11,000. But she also bought office equipment, so she's acquiring more assets. All right? Now both of these were bought on account. That means you've got a debt, a liability, and we refer to that as your accounts payable, and therefore the debt is now $19,000. Now let's carry on. Carol placed an advertisement in the local newspaper, and she paid 300 Rand by check. Now the first thing is she's paying, so her money is going down by 300 Rand. Now that advertisement is what we call an expense. She has to pay for it, but she's got nothing of value. She doesn't own the newspaper as a result of this. And so therefore she's got nothing to compensate for it. And so the result of this is that her net worth of the business will actually go down. She's got less assets at this stage, and so her worth will have decreased. Number 4, Carol bought supplies for the first month, the shampoo and that, and she paid by check. Now again, she's paying, so her money's going down. Those supplies get used up. They're not an asset. Once the shampoo's been used, it's gone. It goes down the drain. And so these are expenses that she needs in order to earn an income. And so therefore, her money's gone down. She's not replacing it with any assets, and so her worth is also going down. Number 5, Carol returned some of the salon equipment to KZN Supplies for 600 Rand. They deducted the amount of her account. Now remember, this was the salon equipment, the hairdressing equipment, and she's returning some of that. So now you try this entry on your own. And hopefully you all saw that the equipment is going down because you don't have it, and you hadn't paid for it before, so that's also going to decrease. Then going on, Carol received her first 4 clients, and she charged them 70 Rand each. That's a total of 280 Rand, and she banked the money. Now this is exactly why she's in business, in order to earn an income from cutting people's hair. So she's banking the money, so her money's going up. So she's got more assets. She's not losing anything. It's her time, her skill that she's using, and so her worth has also gone up. Right, number 7, Carol paid wages. Now wages is also an expense. You pay, but you don't own the person. There's no asset for that. So I want you to try that, and at the same time I want you to do number 8 on your own. Alright, so both of them are going to decrease her bank. The wages is an expense, so she's lost that money. She's got nothing tangible, no asset to replace it, so her worth is going down. And then the last one over there, which, sorry, this should be 500 Rand. That 500 Rand gone out of the bank, and she's reducing her worth. She's taking money out of the business. The assets are less. And remember that your worth here is always your assets minus your liabilities. Now, can you take your calculator and just add this up for me, and then I'll explain this final bit to you. And so if you add up the columns over there, what is important is, let's go back to our accounting equation. Remember, our assets minus our liabilities equals our worth. So our assets added up there to 66,380. So my assets 66,380. Minus the liabilities, your liabilities, you owe 18,400. And that equals, if you subtract those two from each other, 47,980. That's what this business is worth. Now it started off by her putting in 50,000, but her worth has decreased. And that is because she's had these expenses that she's had to pay. She got some income, but she's had more expenses. And then she also took 500 Rand for her personal use. Now, this can be written in this format, or you know from maths, you can move this over the equal sign, in which case this comes over to be 18,400. And so your assets equals your worth plus your liabilities. And if you take a calculator and add those two, you'll see it comes to the same figure. And that's what's been done here. So your assets were 66,380. Of that, 18,400 is owed to debts, and belonging to the owner is 47,980. Very important that we can see our accounting equation here. And finally, your statement of net worth is just a summary of these columns. And so there it is there, your cash at bank. Remember, we're just taking the figures from up top there. The hairdressing equipment and the offered equipment came to 66,380. You've got an owner's equity, which is your worth of 47,980, and you've got liabilities, your accounts payable of 18,400, and those two add up to the same. So if you've got assets of that, you can say, right, of that 18,400 still belongs to the people you bought on account from. Remember, it's not yours. You have to pay it back. And 47,980 belongs to the owner. Right, now I want to encourage you to go and practice some more of these tasks, concentrating on the fact that you're putting entries into here. How many times are you making entries to? Start looking at this. And then making sure that you balance at the end. So keep practicing.